So welcome to the next video in the series. Now, as I've said before and introduced myself, my name's Renee and I'm here to help you, give you some clarity in where to go, because I know the whole idea of ending a marriage, the feelings that go behind it and what you're facing, could be potentially the biggest decision you've ever had to make. And I get it, it's not easy and no one can prepare you for that. Now, as I said earlier, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I will give you some information. And I guess the first things first of when you absolutely must know you must leave a relationship. And here are a few pointers that I often suggest people to consider if they're in this situation. So one, if there is physical abuse, family violence, domestic violence. Now, as far as the Family Law Act is concerned, that covers a broad range of abuse. There's financial abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, all that sort of thing. It's abuse of you and it's abuse to children. And where there's risk of harm, that is when you should really consider, is your safety worth it and the safety of your children? And alarmingly, a lot of abuse goes unreported, and sometimes people think that the kind of abuse they're going through, it's not really that big of a deal, and it doesn't get reported or it gets downplayed. And I hear this a lot from lawyers and other mediators. And it's a serious, serious topic, and it's not a nice one to have to talk about first up either. But I do want you to consider, because a lot of the women and men too that I have spoken to and worked with find that it's harder, really, really hard to recover from emotional abuse. And that can come from a high conflict relationship where there's a personality disorder as such, whether it's a borderline personality, bipolar, just super high conflict. Sometimes, and I know the word narcissist gets thrown around a lot. Now, I'm not here to judge. This is a judgment-free place. And I'm not here to diagnose either, because I'm not qualified for that. And maybe you don't even know or trust me yet. So just take this on board for what it means to you and how that sits with you. But sometimes if you're in a narcissistic or borderline personality disorder relationship that can do so much harm to your inner self, it really can take its toll on you. So just be mindful of the information that's being said to you, and if it doesn't feel right, if you're being criticized or controlled with those words, because words can really be harmful, there's no reason for you to take that on board if you know it's not you. For an example, I have heard a story of a client, from a client, that someone had said to her, when she came home from the weekend, when this particular gentleman had an affair, and this lady was in his house using the wife's hairdryer. And just imagine the wife coming back home and knowing that her hairdryer had not been left where it was. And then he said to her, what are you, crazy? You think that just someone comes in here and uses the hairdryer that I don't know? So if things are being said to you like that, you're being made to feel crazy, do not take that on board. And this goes for men and women. Now, there's also other reasons when maybe you should seriously consider leaving and not doing the work. But whether you do or not, it's up to you. It's always your choice. And when it becomes your choice and you take responsibility, that's when you're being empowered by this. And that's where you get the learnings and the lessons, and maybe you become more courageous. Who knows? It's your journey and it's unique to you. But another reason you should really think about maybe considering leaving would be if someone has a constant addiction, whether it's an addiction to gambling, to drugs, to alcohol, any medication like that that's not prescribed, and whether or not there's a porn addiction too that you're not, that just doesn't work for you. I can't tell you. Again, they're just some pointers when people really need to consider that I'm out. Another reason is if there is repeated infidelity. And by repeated, we're all human, and not that I've ever been in that place, but a lot of the people I work with have. And sometimes an affair is never really about the other person, that your partner is having the affair with. It's never about the affair. And no, it doesn't excuse the behavior. But maybe if we just knew more about relationships and each other and learned that and how to put each other first and make time for each other, maybe that wouldn't happen. And maybe that's not the only reason either. I don't know. Because each journey is unique to the people I work with. But if it's repeated, something is there that's not changing. So they're the times that maybe you really should consider leaving. And that's, I know, really serious downer stuff, but maybe we can start there and move up from here. So that's why you should leave. Or maybe, again, it's always up to you. But they're pretty serious reasons that we need to take on board. And is that what we want to be around? Now, on to the next video. I'll be back in a moment and share with you other questions and reasons to consider. What's next? What's your best step forward from here? What's going to work for you?